Email marketing is what I do, and it has become, in a way, what I am and how I identify myself. I am a persona, a consumer in dozens of relationships with brands, products, services. But then I remember at the core, I am a human, complex and contradictory. Email and Coffee talks with this guest who says it best. And now, Emily McGuire. Hey everyone, Joy Brooks, Email and Coffee. A beautiful day in New York. And today I'm speaking with beautiful Emily McGuire. We're going to be talking about lots of stuff, but before we do, Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You already said it. Emily McGuire is all you need to know, right? Just the name. I am the Senior Lifecycle Marketing Manager at Close, which is a CRM for small businesses that helps unify communication to do all the fun sales and customer nurturing stuff. That's not our official tag.
Fun stuff, official.
But in a nutshell, that's what we do. And I do our life cycle marketing for that. And I live in just outside of Detroit, Michigan with my 7-year-old son. Yeah, he's 7, which is wild. Just finished first grade, which is rude. And, I enjoy all the typical mom stuff, coffee and trashy TV.
Oh, trashy TV. We could talk. Have you seen the Netflix called The Midwife?
Yeah, a long time ago. I think I watched like the first couple seasons on that one. That was
Yeah, I'm
fun.
hooked. I'm hooked on that one.
It was a good one. Yeah.
I'm like in, I think, season 13, which is,
Oh, season 13?
oh yeah, and it's still running. It's still
Oh,
running.
what?
Still on PBS.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm talking trashy like Love is Blind. I love a good train wreck on TV. So,
Once in a while, that's what you need, you know?
I call it junk food for your brain. Sometimes you need it.
I know. Yeah. I feel guilty. I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit in front of the TV and just, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to sit in front of the TV and just.
Yeah, right? You need it sometimes. You
What?
need
Do
it.
I need a reason? Come on.
No, you don't. Mm-mm.
So you mentioned something, and we'll talk about this because I think it's like a big topic. And, we all do email marketing, or we all do email marketing.
Mhm.
But there are lots of different flavors, and not all, and marketing people don't necessarily understand the different flavors, and the words sometimes are interchangeable. However, sometimes they're
Oh
not.
my gosh.
So, so when you say life cycle marketing,
Mhm.
people are like, oh, what is your definition of life cycle marketing?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, so it's funny because, so I guess I should give my qualifications or whatever for being here. I've been in email, this year marks 10 years in email marketing. And so, like, I started out in e-commerce and retail and have made my way into tech. And a long time ago, I think a couple years into email marketing, I started looking at it from a customer journey perspective, which to me is life cycle marketing, right? You're just looking at the customer journey and how your emails are nurturing folks to their next stage into the life cycle. And that's primarily what email automation is, right? That is what it is. And if you aren't understanding like why somebody would enter an automation or what you're trying to automate to follow up to get somebody to do, right? If you're not understanding that whole picture, then you don't have an automation. Like, why are you doing it in the first place? So I started doing that in e-commerce as an email marketer and started uncovering all little tiny things, right? That you're not creating a consistent experience on emails, especially your automations, or like the big problem is a lot of them overlap. People don't think about when you exit somebody out of an automation. So if somebody's getting multiple contradictory email messages, because they weren't exited from the original campaign and got dumped into a new one. And so, like, yeah, it just creates a confusing experience. So that's really why I got into it, and it's sort of expanded since.
It's a pretty interesting topic, but sometimes it's difficult to get marketing departments to buy into it or to even understand it, because I like to think of it as email, like 3D chess, because now
Mm,
it's not just one move laterally. There's no funnel. People are moving around the chessboard up and down and in and out. And it can get complex. I mean, they don't call it programmatics for nothing. It can get pretty complex. And if you really do think about it, like you mentioned, if somebody exits because they no longer fit the profile for this particular automation, and that's possible because they may be moving through products or services, many reasons. So if they exit out of an automation and they move into another automation and they're doing all of these different things, the marketing department starts to, like, they shake their heads and go, wait, what? And when you explain it to them, they don't necessarily understand how complicated it is. And, I know you, and you would like to give them a visual. So that's part of the buy-in process. It's like not only saying this is what we're going to do and you explain it and you watch their faces go, you actually will set up the buy-in process. So I know you've just gone through that. Tell us a little bit about marketing buy-in.
whew, that's hard. Well, yeah, we were just talking about this because, you get so deep into something, you forget what you don't know. And then it's like, it's a given, right? Right? We all know this, right? And then when people don't get it, you're like, wait, what? Oh, like I got to take several steps back. And that's a hard process to do, to get outside of your brain and into other people's brains who, aren't living and breathing it every day. And so, usually when people want an email marketer, you know, email marketing is confusing for a lot of people. They don't understand exactly what it is because, again, they're not living and breathing it every day. They don't understand. All they know is they have a need and they think this thing will fit it. And so, somebody's like, I need help with email marketing. When you start talking to them, they really need help. They want help with cold email, which is a different animal, or they want a newsletter program, which is a different animal, right? Or they want you sending out their weekly or daily emails with the latest sales and offers and all that kind of stuff. Again, different. But you don't know that until you've been in it. And so, talking to somebody who wants you to stand up an email marketing program and they want you to send out emails regularly, newsletters, broadcasts. Everybody has a different e-blast, which makes it most email marketers cringe. Uh, all those things, and then you have to go through this whole education process about like what segmentation looks like, and it's like we have a list of 300,000 folks we haven't emailed in a couple of years, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to hurt deliverability, and they're like, what's that? Why? And so then you have to like just keep going down these rabbit holes of like, you don't send the same email to everybody, right? Why would you do that? And all they're looking at is a number. And human beings are complicated. Like you were talking about 3D chess, like everybody needs something different at different times and in different ways. And so when you start breaking it down like that, you start talking about humans. And humans are complicated and contradictory and have different needs and wants. Then you can start like looking at your data to identify those things. And so how I always approach sending out regular content emails or engagement emails is you look at lifecycle stages to segment your audience. So leads are one bucket, your churned folks are another, and your customers are another. Those are like the lowest lift way to identify needs and wants and how you customize content to folks or offers. You're not going to send the same offer to somebody who's never bought from you or become a customer as you're going to send to a current customer who you might want to get to buy again or continue to stay a customer, right? Those are two different audiences. They have different needs, and you would nurture them in a different way or get them to take the next action in a different way. And so, like, really starting from there, and then people are like, oh, yeah, we should be automating things. And you're like, okay, why? And then you start breaking up the life cycle, and you want people to do something, you have to identify who they are, get the data to do that, and keep nurturing them to the next action. And that takes a lot of patience, right? With folks who are newer to this and recognizing that, like, you just got to keep talking the same track talk about things, about why you need things, and eventually you'll find your opening. Eventually you'll find the conversation that can open the door for you or the right person, right? Sometimes it's not always the same person. So it's being patient.
Really is.
Number one,
Yeah.
finding the right data to support your claims and repeating it over and over and over again until, again, you find the right opening and or the right person who gets it or
Mhm.
wants to get it.
Sometimes customers have complex services, products, and buying cycles. So sometimes the buying cycle is very long.
Yeah,
So if it's a $200,000 um, buy, it's not something that happens overnight.
exactly.
Or if you've got a number of different products that serve different needs, you don't want to hit somebody over the head with every single product.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody like Zoho that has lots of different products. You're selling a CRM, you're selling a CRM with the email, you're selling a CRM with email, and all of these products. You don't hit the customer over the head with everything all at once. You decide, you know what, we'll do a number of different tracks. We'll see how they move around, and then we'll change the tracks because now we're beginning to see when a person buys a CRM, what they want next, and things of that nature. You don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Right.
So you've got to be
Exactly.
somewhat flexible.
Yeah.
You've got to build these tracks, like you said, these tracks, and not every business is set up for that. If a company is selling one product um, that takes a long time to purchase, this is not an automation. You could write an automation to set it up so that you could do other things. The automation is there to make the marketing department's life a little easier, but it still needs to be strategic, and that's what another layer of this 3D chess that people don't understand. Oh, let's do the CTA. Well, not only the CTA, but anything in the email should should imply something if the customer does something. So, okay, you've got your social at the bottom, but what does it imply? You shouldn't just assume, oh, we'll put social at the bottom because anybody that visits social, oh, that's good to do. Well, what does that imply? If you can't come up with the answer, then it's a giveaway. Then that data is meaningless to you. And why, it could be meaningful. Well, if we get enough hits to Facebook, we'll update the Facebook page. We'll do something to Facebook. It implies something. So, that's not only his life cycle through the email process, but it could infer things through social as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like not just social, but like, I mean, you mentioned, having a really long sales cycle and like a nurturing strategy around that could take whatever, months, years, depending on your business. And um, there are so many implications across channels, right? Like having social links on your emails, like why? What's your intent there? But also, like, a lot of folks don't understand what you can do with website behavior and your email campaign. So, like, looking at, I mean, people talk about lead scoring, all that kind of stuff, but what I don't, a lot of people lean on email engagement very heavily for that, which we all know is very unreliable. Opens and clicks in general have been for a long time. Um, but the real value to me of grabbing an email address is depending on your email service provider, is that now you start collecting all this behavior from folks and you can start surfacing people who are showing intent. You get those data signals, right? And again, depending on your email service provider, not all of them do this, but to me, it's gold when you can track website activity to an email address. And so then you can start looking at, well, they're viewing these pages that are signaling intent, right? But they haven't converted yet. So where do we send those folks? Who are we seeing now that are warming up? And do we send them a special nurture campaign? How do we identify the folks who are most appropriate for sales conversations and pass those folks over? And so now your email strategy could be, how are we sending people to our high intent pages? How are we guiding folks to not only, engaging them, right, and keeping them warm on our email list, but how do we get them to start showing us signals that they're getting ready to buy, so we can help close the deal, either through an email nurture series or raising them to your sales folks to start having a conversation. So yeah, it becomes a whole other animal to unlock. And that's just like getting leads to convert. Like that's just that part. There's so much more.
Right. And e-commerce leads to convert as opposed to B2B leads to convert. Again, totally, totally different.
Yeah, then you might have, again, you could have a sales motion that you're passing those folks to, or you start, again, you can do another separate nurture campaign, um, if they aren't sales qualified, but still could use some nurturing. That has a whole other
Yeah,
set of considerations.
that certainly takes email out of the silo and delivers it into broader marketing and or into sales. So now you're having
Yep.
conversations, with the sales folks, and that can be somewhat uncomfortable for people and departments that uh, view marketing as a service and sales as the moneymaker, the revenue, right? So sales doesn't want to talk to marketing because you're supposed to give me stuff. You're not supposed to be telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And
I've
then
been at those places. Yeah.
web end, whereby you're telling the web people or even the content people, we need to create these strategic, critical landing pages that deliver something very specific. I mean, the experience would be somebody goes there and gets information, clicks there, that the inference is lead scoring. It's like 100 as opposed to a 10. Um, and as as they move forward, as the emails move forward, here are those links. It's not just a click, what they clicked on, and everything in the email is very specific to that. Okay, this one, it infers they're really not ready. This infers they're hot. And the
Hmm.
next time the email goes out, if they hit that next spot, then they're ready. They're sales ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yep. Yep. So it's looking that whole path, right? And once you can start explaining that to folks, getting those good relationships with other teams and start explaining the opportunity there and what it means for them, people get very excited and they're like, "Oh, how do we do that? Show me. Like, let's get on board." Which is, great. And then you're like, "Oh, wait, crap, I have to do work now." Like I got another project to do. It's a tough one.
It is, and it's a lot of work. It's like a brain tease. It is
Hmm.
because there are a lot of pieces and a lot of people. But when a department says, "Okay, let's do it," so now you get buy-in from the marketing department. Now you've got to get buy-in from everyone else. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's difficult. So there's buy-in is not something email marketing people normally talk about, but I think it's one of the biggest reasons why email marketing fails, because people think it works on its own and it does not.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. Well, and the longer the whatever, the further along I am in my career, it becomes less about hard skills and more about the softer skills, right? And buy-in being a huge one that I've realized over the years, and that is a muscle I need to work on. And because again, you get so heads down into your own work, you forget that not everybody knows what you're doing. You're like, I just launched a campaign, and they're like, what campaign? And you're like, but I just did it. You can't, you're not in my head. What? And so, or like they'll see a campaign in their inbox or whatever, and be like, well, what's this about? Why did you make this choice? Or why didn't we do that? And you're like, and old me used to get frustrated by that because like, oh, great, now I got to remember what I did and why I did it. And so that's why, like, that's one of the big reasons I document everything. Everything has a campaign brief on my reasoning, showing my math on why I made the conclusions I made to do what I'm doing. And also, like, documenting the emails outside of your email service provider so you can quickly show them to folks
Right.
who are asking about them. You can quickly reference them and start sharing. Like I've recently started trying to share emails that affect certain departments when they're launching in those Slack channels, which I was like, why didn't I ever think of this before? It was one of those things, that somebody suggests doing it and you're like, oh, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? And then you start doing it and people get really excited again. They're like, oh, this is so helpful. And so the more you're documenting and communicating what's going on, the more people get it. And it's a slow burn, right? It takes a long time sometimes for people to really get what it is you're doing. And the other piece, is the thing that took me too long to realize is every initiative you do needs to tie up to a business goal. And if you can't articulate that,
Mhm.
then you're not going to get buy-in, right? If you can't articulate how and why this will impact a business goal, it's not going to get buy-in. And I also, not every company has transparent business goals, which is a whole other challenge.
That's right.
So it's finding the people who know what they are, getting that information, and making sure you're articulating how this supports your company goals, which is a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, that's why I call it 3D chess, because it becomes this big thing where you can move up, down, left, right, back, forward. And if you move up and the door's locked, okay, you're done. If you
Yeah.
move up and the door opens, then now you can move left, right, back, forward, up, down. You're going all over the place. It sounds bizarre, but it really is along those lines. And everybody's got to understand. And when you do share those emails with the departments that otherwise have no idea that they're happening, so you share them with sales, and you eventually get an approval, and then you let them know it's going out tomorrow. Now they're excited. Okay, so they had some amount of feedback in production and development. It was finally approved. That could take months. It finally approved. Now you're letting them know it's going out tomorrow, or it's dripping out. It's beginning. It's dripping out, and it will be going to these people. They do get excited. If they don't know it's happening, um, they're not ready for that business goal.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, or to have those conversations, right?
Sometimes, for example, I mean, a very simple thing when I had a chance to work with a business that was starting out, and they were essentially cold emails.
Hmm.
So I said the easiest thing to do for you is to do a welcome campaign. We'll do a drip. We'll just find out how bad or good your list is.
Yeah.
So at the end of this 3 campaign series, you'll know who to phone and who not to phone. Okay. So 3 months down the line, they're finished. So I'm like, how, I was sending you leads. How are those, how are those customers? Oh, I was supposed to call them. I'm like,
Oh,
this is when people don't get it.
yeah.
What? I'm
Yeah.
supposed to phone them on email. I'm not supposed to phone them. You were hoping to get leads. Did you expect them to just suddenly like sprout without any water and grow tall and become, a loyal customer from an email, from 3 emails? You need to phone them. Oh, well, and this happens over and over and over again. And when you're
Hmm.
doing life cycle marketing, you've got many departments that are part of this, who are like, I didn't know I needed to do something.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, yes, then establishing relationships with all those folks and making sure that you're scoping out the campaign to understand the full, not just the life cycle of the customer, but the process behind what's happening with the campaign. Yeah. And like that is sometimes not every, and the hard part is like getting other people to prioritize your priorities, right? Because everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got their own workloads they're trying to do and they're trying to get their stuff done. And a lot of people are overworked and overwhelmed. And so, how do you work with folks to get them to see like you're trying to help them? You're trying to make their lives easier, trying to get them to look good and hit their goals too. And some folks are been so starved to have support on the marketing side that they get very excited when somebody comes in and is like, "How can I help you?" And so, again, the balance is there, not overcommitting.
Yeah,
And yeah, yeah, which is a real. I've had that problem in the past. Being like, "I can help." I was just talking to somebody about this of like, you see a problem in like some Slack conversation, and you're like, "I can make a campaign. I could an email campaign could help with that. I can fix that for you." And you're like, I'm already over capacity. Me volunteering myself is not going to help anybody because I'm not going to be able to deliver something on a timeline I want to promise. And like, I've literally had to get up from my desk and walk away so I don't volunteer for something that I'm going to overcommit to. It's like, yeah, it's hard.
it is. It is difficult. It is very difficult because you do want to, you do want to do that, and in many cases, some marketing departments run like that, and you want to stop them from doing that.
Mhm.
It's like,
Mhm.
you don't want to necessarily say, well, there's a form, you have to fill out the form, and it will, you don't want to, force them down a queue, but you want to be able to say, there's a process here,
Mhm.
and I can't just knee jerk email campaigns for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. And some people are, yeah, very comfortable asking for those things, and some people are not.
Some
But yeah, it's a.
I've seen departments run like that. Matter of fact, sadly enough, I've seen a lot of departments run like that, and that's that's the toughest thing when they've been running like that for any amount of years. They don't even hear the buy-in. They don't even hear it. You're trying to get them to do something that is so against every habit that they've been accustomed to over the past 5 years in their marketing careers that you cannot get them to stop.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's a fine line, right? I'm a big process person, and when you don't have a process, there's no way you can prioritize things. So you're always putting out fires, you're always overcommitted. And then I've also seen the opposite where people are too stuck on the process that they can't get out of it and there's no flexibility. It's too rigid. And, but like, again, that depends on the size of your business. I've worked in startups, with like less than 5 people. That's not a problem. You're just trying to get stuff done. And I've worked at companies of like 10,000 people where there are hundreds of people making requests to your team. And so you kind of have to because otherwise everybody be working 100-hour work weeks, right? If you don't have a process. So, um, yeah, it's a challenge.
It is definitely a challenge. Some other things that are very challenging is that when you're working in email and you've got a service or product, or I should say multi-tiered service and products, and you've got different people working on different tiers, and they're all in email. We've had this conversation where somebody says, I work on this product, but they work on that product, and we're all sending emails. That's rough too. That's very rough, where you're not the only one who's addressing the same customer about a product. You may be hitting them. Somebody else may be hitting them. And that's another issue. And it's difficult to get a company to become aware that they're doing that.
Yeah, well, that's where I've been in that position. And that's where like honestly, life cycle and customer journey comes into play. Because once you start mapping out what kinds of emails are going out to specific customer types, depending on their customer journey, then you start showing folks how much you are competing against yourself in the inbox. And it's a waste of effort. And so, like, if you're not thinking about, like, number one, email fatigue in general, but also your own email fatigue and how that's playing out, like folks just don't get it. And so like it takes digging. It takes like I like to map out journeys and like sometimes, you would love to do the whole holistic journey, but that gets to be too complicated. Like that becomes a whole web of stuff. It's overwhelming. And sometimes you have to really zero in on a particular segment to show people what's actually happening and like put it in their faces. Like, this is the experience that is currently happening. And it's not on their radar, so they don't know and they don't care until somebody is like, no, here, look, I mapped it out for you. This is the experience. And they're like, wait, what? We're sending that out? And they just had no idea. And so, like, again, like you can't, especially leadership, the folks who allocate the budget, who give the final okay on things, they're spread really thin, right? They have to focus on a lot of different things. So for you to get them to care about your thing, you have to get it in a format they'll understand. And like that is also learning whatever that leader's love language is, you know?
Exactly. It is.
Yeah.
It can be pretty difficult because in many cases, companies will say, "Oh, we've got a marketing department, and in the marketing department, we've got a web person, we've got a content person, we've got an email person," and they're not really thinking other than, "Well, we have people in those positions; they'll take care of it."
Right.
And then that word "it," like
Yeah.
it,
What?
what,
Yeah. Yeah.
and are all these people doing it? Or are they doing other its? So
Right, yeah. Because you can even be in a marketing department and be super siloed within your own department, like especially when your team is very channel siloed, everybody's sort of focusing on their own thing and they're not even talking to each other. And like it requires it requires good organization and leadership and process to like bring people together to say, okay, these are our priorities. These are our
goals,
goals.
business goals.
Yes, how do we work together to all get on the same page? How are we all rowing the same boat to get to those goals? And that takes a really an organized leader, a leader who understands process, number one, and like you have to get people in the same room to talk about things and get on the same page sometimes, and whatever that room looks like for you, and like encourage and empower people to lean into their expertise to do the things
Right.
that they're really good at.
Right. It's a lot of times there's turnover in marketing because people get hired to do something and they can't accomplish them, and they just get, they'll just cycle in and cycle out. They'll keep hiring people, but what they might not be realizing, it's not the expertise of the marketer. It may be the process that, the email marketer can't do these things because all you're asking for is opens and clicks, and therefore your revenue, there's no business goal. What is the opening?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Or you don't have
you
a way
start
to.
talking about how beautiful your emails are. Oh, they're beautiful. Yay. But that's not the
Mhm.
purpose of your business now, is it?
Yeah. Well, and honestly, a way uh to track performance, which, I mean, email in the e-commerce world is such an easy sell because most email service providers can help you track revenue to email relatively easily, right? Like that is a process that is pretty straightforward to set up. So you can say like, yeah, look at my job. I'm doing great. This email I sent out made whatever, 10, $20,000. Congratulations, me.
Right.
But outside of that world, it's much harder to find those articulation points of success. And like, especially in B2B, especially in SaaS, like you need to have the appropriate data infrastructure and reporting tools to look at, did this email or this campaign, this series of whatever, 5 to 10 emails, how many sales calls did it generate? How many signups did it generate? How many deals were opened because of this? How many contracts or deals have we closed that had an email touch, right?
How many people went
Most
to the
people,
website? How many people went to Facebook? How many people called customer service? I mean, there's so many things going on. And if you have
yeah,
a profile, or if you don't, it's not so much a profile. Well, it is a profile. It's like you have to think all the people that are in the process, what are their basic profiles? What do they do? What are their behaviors? Once you
exactly.
basically got that, you begin to say, okay, so let's build this campaign out to help this behavior. Like if they're at the point where they're calling customer service, then we build something out that's answers frequently asked questions.
Yeah. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if somebody's going to Facebook, then we give them entertaining stuff.
Right. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
you think to yourself, what are these, what are the profiles? Again, each business is different. So me saying going to Facebook, giving entertaining stuff, I'm merely saying you've got to profile the customers out.
Right.
And that's difficult. You may only
Mhm.
have 5 personas, but some companies may have 15 or many more.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So it's very hard to prove that the value, and I think it's a lot of reason why I see folks say email doesn't work for us, and it's like, well, how are you measuring success? And they're like, oh,
That's why it's not
well,
working.
yeah, or like they're like, yeah, we send out all these newsletters and this great content, and nobody's converting, and it's like, did you tell them how to convert? And they're like, oh, are you measuring that? How are you measuring that? And they're like, right, we don't really have a way to measure it. And then it's like, well, how do you know if it works for you or it doesn't? If you don't have somebody going in there and analyzing and figuring it out. So yeah, it's just it's one of those things. Like, but not every business has the resources to dedicate to that kind of thing. And so really finding your wins around that. And yeah, some email campaigns, the goal isn't revenue, it's not conversions, it's reducing customer support tickets. And yeah, and like getting ahead of the game on stuff. And so it's such a complicated thing that touches so many different teams and verticals. Yeah, I got a new manager recently, and we were walking through like all the things I've been doing, and he was like, "How are you in so many different departments?" And I was like, "Well, email touches everybody." There's a campaign for billing, there's a campaign for customer support, there's a campaign for product. Like everybody has needs to communicate with our folks. So yeah, I'm in all of it. Which is it's a fun problem to have because then you learn a lot about the business that you wouldn't
But
normally know.
oftentimes somebody else is doing the transactionals, and
Yeah,
maybe
well,
through a different ESP. And then you've got
maybe.
people who
Okay.
are doing SMS, and there again, when you
Hmm.
start, and this happens in in many situations where one person isn't necessarily doing them all. The person who's overseeing it doesn't get it,
Right.
and they're just, their business goal is to just make sure that the work gets done. So,
Hmm.
are there transactionals? Yes. Are they work? Oh, is that my job too?
Right. Well, yeah, that's a whole other technical nightmare to untangle,
Right.
which, yeah,
So,
I know enough to be dangerous on those, but yeah, those are, woo, yeah.
well, I mean, there are many, you know, I have seen companies that internally send a newsletter that's just news, right? And
Hmm.
everyone said,
Yeah.
"Oh, those are dead. Nobody does that anymore." But no, people do that because
Yeah. If your audience wants it.
they want to send their employees um, current events. It's morale, but it's also getting people to do stuff together. Lots of different things are going on
Hmm.
depending on the business that you work on. If it's a small business, you may not need that, but you may still need PR, internally. There's lots of reasons to do an email internally. That business goal is so completely different than revenue. All you're trying to do is retain your employers. You don't want attrition. You don't want people, you know,
Hmm.
feeling like everybody's all by themselves and they don't know anything of what's going on in the company. Oh, I wasn't invited to that luncheon. Oh, I didn't know that, we do this on Fridays. Oh, I didn't know that it was a baseball club. You know, that's what an internal newsletter can do.
Hmm.
So so that goal is so completely different than what other companies can do, and or what other companies need to do, or some other companies are doing. And when a company is doing an internal newsletter, and then someone else is doing transactionals, and they're all going at different ESPs, that can be problematic at some point
Oh
in
my gosh.
time.
Yeah.
That can be problematic. Like recently when we just went through DMARC, or I should say, the updates to Google and Yahoo, where it was more strict uh, to make sure you were doing these, checking your SPF, checking your DKIM, checking your DMARC, making sure they're all aligned. Now you've got five different departments that are doing email. What email address are
Yeah.
they using? What domains are they using?
Hmm.
All of
Hmm.
these things start happening. Um, and while that's not life cycle marketing, these are all the issues with bigger programs than just a company of five people where you're doing email, or for a small company.
Hmm.
It may be a great product, doesn't mean that the service or product is only five people worth, but it's a different animal. And what's your favorite email marketing? Now that you said, you've done e-commerce, you've done the startups, you've done a few different things, and life cycle seems to be something that you enjoy. I think because it's a challenge. Do you like that the most because it's a challenge now, or are you going to say in 9 months from now, I can't take this anymore? It's too much of a challenge because life cycle's always changing.
Well, I mean, email's always changing. Everything's always changing, right? Life is change. So some people tell me, which I hate.
Now, you know what? When you're doing e-commerce, I mean, what changes is we're moving our ESP. We're changing. We're going from Shopify to e-commerce. You're changing those things. That's changing.
Mhm.
But the drill with e-commerce is it's not simple, but it's essentially the same because it's geared to sales. Are we selling product? Are we making sure that people aren't buying stuff that's out of stock? I mean, all of these problems
Yeah.
keep surfacing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But consumer trends change, right? The market changes, buying habits change.
right.
Like for sure, that all changes. But I love so like I said, life cycle is how I've approached email for a long time. I recently got a title to match that and buy in to like go all in on it. And I think I really enjoy it because it looks at like humans, right? You're not just sending out emails into the void of like I'm just gonna send this email out of this great content and like, yeah, I hope this is good. And just do that every week over and over and over again, repetitively. I like life cycle because you're really looking at the data. We're looking at identifying the real issues of what's going on. I recently launched a new onboarding campaign we have a trial on our product and it was like you really had to dig into the customer experience and figure out what are all the roadblocks. And are they on the customer side or are they on the product side? And if they're on the product side, how are we addressing those things? Are they being addressed? If they are, how do I get in on that conversation, right? Like to put my requests in for data, right? And so it's like figuring out, okay, what are the things, what requires more education and nurturing to our customers, and what's a product issue, and how do we combine those things to inform each other? And then find those little fall off points that you can nurture folks to, and like, do I have the data for this? I don't. Can I get it? Let's find out. And so it's fun, and my over analytical brain loves to spin out on that kind of stuff. And I get to learn a lot from a lot of other folks cross functionally, which is kind of cool. And then, your mind just kind of gets blown over and over again. You're like, wait,
What?
we do what? I didn't know that. That's cool. Um, so I think I like that. I like it because of that. And it's also like a project that has a start and a finish. Of course, I mean, it doesn't totally finish because you're going to go back and review and iterate, but there's a lot of potential there to look at performance because it's one goal. Like you're focusing on one stage of the life cycle to get people to do one thing. Well, multiple things, but you have an end goal in mind. And it's a very small segment of your audience. So I think that's why I like it so much. And then you can expand how that experience complements into other channels, layer those in, and look at the whole holistic experience. That's what I really like. It's the 10,000-foot view and the little tiny details on the ground at the same time.
The dopamine surge is like when you identify a customer based upon a behavior, and then you say, so how can I get them to jump through the hoop?
Yes,
And you
exactly.
brainstorm, you brainstorm, you brainstorm, and then they start jumping, and that's the high. That's like,
Mm,
whoa, I
we did
did it.
it.
That is the real challenge of email marketing. Not
Hmm.
just, can we figure out how to use the CSP? Because, I don't understand how to use the drag and drop.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
let's use dynamic content. Ooh, what's that? Let's see, it's like, no, the tools are there so that you can use them in a particular way. And that's the hardest part. It's like saying, okay, put the tools aside. We'll figure out which tool we're going to use. What are
right.
we doing?
Right. Yep. Yeah. You figure out what you're doing, and then you can figure out if your tools are going to do what you want it to do. And that's the other fun part. It's like, oh, it can't do this, or we can do it, but it's going to take all this other effort, not worth it. How do we simplify? All that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's fun. And the other big challenge is like, prioritizing what's worth making your tool do the thing you want it to do, or like going after the right life cycle stage or the right campaign. And like, how do you build the email, and based on what you want to personalize on it? Do you just code it all? Or do you use your drag and drop builder? And it's like, well, what resources do we have? Is it worth it? All of those decisions that go into it. Um, and you finally figure out, okay, that's not worth it. I don't have enough data to suggest this is actually going to make a significant lift. So we'll table that for another time. It's like, yeah, it's just a fun puzzle to put
It
together.
really is. It really is. You forget, you've got your design team creating these super duper email campaigns, and you're like, whoa, no.
Oh my gosh. I was just having this conversation with somebody about like the biggest, I mean, this is true of all marketing, is that people think that something very pretty means it's going to be successful. And I mostly do emails that are letter format. Some people call them plain text, but they're not technically plain text. They're rich text, if that's, a letter template. And people think they're ugly. And so this is a question I have to answer all the time is why is it so plain looking? Like I've tested this format so many times across different industries and companies, and 9 times out of 10, it beats the very pretty email. And it's a lighter lift to produce.
Lighter lift.
Yeah,
Well,
it's more efficient.
if design is driving email, it becomes a very difficult relationship.
Yeah, well, and of course, there are some industries where it makes sense, like
You sell,
fashion.
okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yes, some places it makes a lot of
I
sense.
get it.
Right, yeah, you're selling something very high end for sure. And it depends on the campaign too. But yeah, that's a big one. That's one I have to have a conversation over and over again. Is like just because it's pretty doesn't mean it's gonna convert, right? Doesn't mean it's gonna be successful. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Again, not to say isn't a time and place or type of campaign that a very beautiful design makes sense, but
it's
yeah.
it becomes somewhat of an ego thing. At least I call it that. That's the words I use, because I keep saying, when you get email, so take yourself out of marketing, put yourself into consumer. You're now the consumer. Do you get emails and go, wow, isn't that beautiful? No.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, I don't have time to read this.
Right.
Delete. That's what you're doing. Or, oh, I've been
Mhm.
waiting for this communication. Let me scan the first sentence. If it doesn't meet my expectations, delete.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, you've got to realize that you have to think like a consumer, and then begin to apply that. And if, again, if you're looking for a dress that's different, you want to see the dress.
Mhm.
Okay, you
Yeah.
need eye
Yeah.
candy. But if you're attempting to just get them to come to a webinar or attend an event or something like that, it's a little lighter. You don't need all that fancy stuff, because they're either available at that date and interested in your product and services or
Mhm.
not. It may be that some famous person's going to be at the event, but that's not necessarily going to get them to come. Maybe. I'm not saying not,
Yeah.
but I'm saying
Yeah.
it may not be as important as you think it is. So while you've got all these emails going out about this person, this famous person, you might want to rethink, with big pictures of the famous person, and in any case, there's so many different touches to email that sometimes they exhaust me. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh my,
No, for
I'm
sure.
so exhausted.
Yeah, so many decisions to make, so many things to wade through, so many rabbit holes to go down that I'm always afraid of opening
Yeah,
that door.
and it's and and to be that speaker that you're doing email marketing, but now you're suddenly trying to sell everybody on different strategies. To be that person is difficult as well. Sometimes you're like a genius, but you can't express that to other people. So you're sitting saying, "Well, I get it. How come they don't get it?" And
Hmm.
you get frustrated, and
Yeah.
that's a rough situation to be in. I mean, I would say that I live in that situation. I cannot always communicate what I see to other people. And I might say it once or twice, and then I realize, okay, I'm not communicating. I wish I could.
Yeah. Well, half of it is the way you say it. Half of it is like recognizing you have to get out of your head and into other people's shoes. And the other half is some people aren't ready to hear it, you know? And it's accepting that. Like, okay, they're not ready for this. And am I in a place in life and is this relationship um successful enough that I know we can continue to have these conversations to get on
Actually,
the same page.
yeah, that
Yeah. Do you have enough patience? You know?
it's that old situation where you say, "Well, I told them to do this. They said no," and 3 months later, somebody else said it, and they did it.
Oh my gosh. Yep. I just had one of those experiences. I heard something for the third time and some advice for the third time. And I was like, okay, fine. Fine. I'll do it. Third time from a third different person. And I was like, you're right. I get it now. I get it.
Yeah, sometimes when somebody tells you to do something that you just don't think is right, perhaps, or whatever, you're not buying into it. So here they're telling you to do something you don't agree with their, you don't think they have strategy, whatever it is, and then something
Hmm.
clicks in your head, and you're like, you know what, just do it, because you'll do
Yeah.
it. It'll test out, and maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're right.
Hmm.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. And I've seen when I'm wrong, and I'm like, oh, wow, it does work. In this particular case, it's working. Isn't that interesting? What does that imply?
Right.
And it's always interesting to do that. Life can be funny like that. That happens in every essence of your life, where I hate
Yeah.
this restaurant, I hate this food, I hate it, I don't want to go there. You finally go there. Well, this is great. I'm having a great
Hmm.
experience.
Yep.
And it
Yeah.
happens.
Humans are complicated and
Are
contradictory.
we, are we just amazing creatures? I do try to be amazed every day. So when I am getting frustrated, I try to turn it from frustration to amazement. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works. I'm glad when I can get it to amazement. When I have those conversations with myself and I'm like, okay, let's write it all down. Let's prepare the meeting. Let's not be negative. Let's put everything forward. And you know what? Let's put everything positive. And if it doesn't move forward, then it's time to leave. Right? And you say, okay, that's the worst case scenario. Don't come with that face of it's not going to work, because nobody wants to see that face. So be happy, have the conversation. And at the end, if it's not working, then you move on. And that's really, and I'm like, okay, that's amazing. It just happened. It worked. Yes, it didn't work. Okay, it's time to move on. Okay, really, there's nothing else. Um, th- that will happen over and over and over in every different layer of your life. It will happen with relationships. It will happen with work. It will happen with food. It will happen with the supermarket you go to. It's going to happen every over and over and over again. This is a good thing until it's not, and then you need to move on.
Right.
Recognizing
Exactly.
when to move on, that's the toughest, or solving the problem so it still works.
Right. Yeah. When to move on versus when to dig in. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. On yourself or the relationship. Yeah, for sure. That's always a challenge.
Words of wisdom from me to you, to the world. So what what really interesting things, doesn't need to be email marketing. What interesting things have happened recently in your life or career that you can end and end this with an upbeat conversation? Not that it
Oh,
hasn't been
upbeat
upbeat,
conversation.
but just like, something amazing.
Something amazing. What's happened in my life or career that's been amazing? I feel like it's funny. I feel like a few folks in my life are in this very similar transition phase about, trying to figure out what work is to them. And I feel very fortunate in that, the company I work for, I really, it's not perfect, right? But I'm at a place in life where I'm like, yeah, we're humans. We're not perfect. Are folks going to listen to me and respect me? That's all I really want. That's all I really want out of my career, right? Is to feel valued and respected as somebody who has something to contribute. And I have a few people in my life who are going through weird career transition phases of like, what am I doing? Do I want to do this? What's going to make me happy, quote unquote. And I'm of the opinion like work is not going to make you happy, and like happiness is not the end goal in life, right? It comes and goes like every other human emotion. So I feel like I'm in this interesting place where I'm like, I enjoy my work. Um, yes, it feels overwhelming at times. Yes, it can be frustrating. And I roll my eyes at things probably more than enough, too many times. But I really appreciate where I am in my career and who I'm working with. I feel like that's all you can really ask for in a job. I used to be very, very ambitious. I wanted to do all the things, hit all the milestones. And now I'm just like, I just want to do good work, feel proud of the work I'm doing, and doing it with people who respect me in the process. They don't have to agree with me, right? But can they disagree with me respectfully? Like that's all I want. So that's what's been going on in my life. Like I said, I got this title change that matches up with what I want to do. I feel good about it. And I get to like also talk through some of with my favorite people about their career transitions and like what is it they really want? And is it this shiny new job with a cool title? Or is it the quality of life, and just being able to do interesting work with interesting people? I feel like that's what most of us really just want,
I
right?
think so too, but some people like taking challenge, like taking risks more than other people, right? Some people enjoy fighting, right? And some companies love that.
That's true.
Some
That's true.
just love that. They eat that up.
Yeah.
So, and not fighting as in, nasty fighting. I'm just saying
Hmm.
the struggle to make things happen. Some companies run that way. It is what it is. If you're not overly ambitious, those are the companies where people are running up the ladder,
Yeah.
and they're measuring themselves where everyone's measuring themselves. I want to be a manager, then I want to be a director, then I want to be a vice president, then
Hmm.
that's what makes them happy. That
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah. Well, it's chasing the shiny objects. And that I haven't met a lot of folks who have gotten there and been like, yes, this was worth it. And there are people it is worth it to them, right? That does fill their bucket. But most of the people in my life who have gone down that path hit the milestones and they're like, this is not what it feels like I thought it would feel like. And so then it becomes this whole exercise of like, am I looking for the external things to feel good about myself? What really makes me feel good about myself and my life? And it's a whole identity crisis thing that I feel like there's a few folks in my life going through it right now who've been having these conversations.
It's a little bit of definitions because I want to be senior vice president, or they don't want to be the vice, they don't want to be the CEO of the company, but they want to be in that suite, right? So they want to be in the
Mhm.
suite, and they don't realize, okay, you want to be in the suite. What's the definition of that?
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah. And well,
again, we're talking about email with personas. What's the persona of that? What does that
right.
do? Is that what you want to do? Because you're thinking it's a title with money, but what does that person do? Where you used to be
Yeah.
happy writing and you got, moved on because you're writing good content and you're moving on, and suddenly now you're the
Mhm.
director of, content marketing or whatever, and you're not doing any writing anymore. Now you're just
Yeah.
seeing everyone who's doing writing, and you're thinking, I don't want to do that.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like people are chasing a data point, this data point that tells me I'm successful rather than what are the thoughts and feelings I want to experience about
Yeah, I
myself.
mean, at some point in time, they might say, "I now it's time for me to pay it forward, and I want to guide all the people that are writing. Yes, I want to be the guide,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I don't want to be that guide when I'm 40 because I'm just hitting my milestone of being able to write because I'm maturing. It's like 40, no, 50, maybe 60.
Mhm.
Yeah, at 60, maybe I want to be that person,
Yeah.
and then 5 years
Yeah.
later, I'll retire, and that'll be the end of that. Um,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah, those things. I think it's pretty much natural. Let's put it this way: companies you used to work for a company forever. Used to, like 50 years ago, used to work for a company forever, and that was expected that you'd move your way up. So you'd start as a mail clerk, and you'd end up in some department, and
Mhm.
then you'd end up supervising some
Mhm.
people in the department, then managing them, then et cetera, et cetera, and then finally, you're the director of the department. Um, and it was assumed you'd stay there, and the reason why you get promoted is because you have all this experience with the process of that department. That doesn't happen anymore at all.
Yeah. No.
So that's why that's why happiness is an issue that it becomes a constant challenge where you're like, do I want to be doing this? Do I want to be doing that? Now you're in the candy store where you've got all the different flavors. You could be doing anything you like. And
Yeah, exactly. It's overwhelming and people feel like you have to make this perfect choice to feel any kind of satisfaction in life about your career. And like, yeah, it's where you spend most of your time. So of course it's a big decision. But like, and so they're like unhappy with their job and they think the whole career is terrible. So like I gotta change careers. And I was like, well, is it the career? Is it the job? Or is it the place you're working at? Or is it the way you're approaching your work? Right? All of that has to go and be examined. And I mean, I'm not saying like I've achieved any of this, but I feel like I feel right now in a very privileged place to feel like I can handle the frustrations at work that I'm currently experiencing. They are not overwhelming. And I feel like in general I'm treated with respect. And like I feel like that's all I could really ask for, right?
right.
And and I'm happy, like I said, the way I'm treated overall.
Well, that's
Um,
amazing. It is pretty good. It can be. It's a good feeling to wake up on Monday and not feel, oh,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had those weeks because you're going through some stuff, but like but in general, overall, you're like, yeah, I'm not dreading Monday. I feel like I can do the work, and I'm relatively excited about doing it. Of course, there are days I don't want to because I'm human.
because you know what?
Um, yeah, because stuff is going on, but yeah, that's what's going on in my life right now. Well, in part, like, our company does this annual retreat, and this year was in Paris, so I got to go to Paris and spent some extra time before the retreat just for fun. And it was just really cool to like, yeah, there's like all this really great momentum going on, like really focusing on common goals, and feels like people are really excited, and I have really cool coworkers and got to hang out with them, and um, yeah, and just it's one of those things, and like all these great ideas have come out of it, and so everybody's like scrambling around trying to get these things done, and it's like, oh God, what's going on? It's overwhelming, but it's like a good
It's a good thing.
overwhelming. Yeah,
Well, that's
you know,
that's good. If
yeah, yeah,
people want to find you, is LinkedIn the best place for them to go, or do you have a website?
yes.
LinkedIn.
Hang out with me on LinkedIn. I hang out there. They gave me an account. They let me on, so I'm there.
They gave you an account.
They gave me a free one too. But yeah, hang out with me on LinkedIn. I sometimes I share thoughts and feelings about my work, and sometimes just about being a human, right? Because that's just what I am. Spoiler alert, I'm a
I
human.
know it's a common denominator. I sometimes think I'm human too. I'm
Yeah,
wired up right
something.
now, so maybe I'm
Hey,
cyborg.
hey, you're a little bit of a robot.
One doesn't know. Maybe I'm just a dream. That's I don't want to. I don't want to think about that. Well, I thank you very much for being on Email and Coffee. It's been a
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, as always, great to see your face.
really. And on that note, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.